Hey, thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Bourbon Battles. Hey, we've got a great one for you today, guys. One of my favorite ones to do where we talk about my favorite kinds of whiskey. And if you've known me for very long, my favorite whiskey is store picks. There can be so much variance in a store pick from what you get inside that store, that single barrel selection, than what you get on the shelf selection, right? And today, I want to talk to you about a very special store who's got amazing store picks. Have you been on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail? If you're watching this and you're into bourbon enough to actually watch me and listen to what I have to say, you've probably done something on the Bourbon Trail down in Kentucky, guys. And if you haven't, I highly, highly encourage you to get down there. You can do a weekend, you can do a day, you can do a week. It's an amazing place. But one of the staples of the Bourbon Trail, as you know, is the heart of it all, where all the big distilleries are, a lot of them anyway, and that's Bardstown, Kentucky. So not only does Bardstown host some of the most amazing distilleries in the world, you know, you've got Jim Beam there, Four Roses, Heaven Hill, 1792 Barton, and on and on and on and on. You can get Short Drive to Maker's Mark, Luxco, you know, Wild Turkey. It's all right there, guys. It's an amazing place, but you've got to go to downtown Bardstown. The scene down there is fantastic, right? Restaurants and history and all that. And of course, liquor stores. You've gone to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail thinking, I'm going to get Blanton's and I'm going to get Eagle Rare and I'm going to get Antique Collection and all this stuff. Guys, the Kentucky may be the worst place in the world to actually bourbon hunt. The saturation of people looking for it is unbelievable. I've seen some things down there, but you can hunt these distilleries and get cool things in these liquor stores. And that's where we're going to tie this back into store picks. These places get some of the most creme de la creme barrels that there are. Guys, if you're not hunting local liquor stores in and around Bardstown and doing store picks, you're doing yourself an injustice. And today we're going to talk about maybe the most famous liquor store of all down there, and that's the Blind Pig, guys. The Blind Pig, look at these pictures here. What an amazing place. They only sell whiskeys. They don't sell vodka. They don't sell rum. They don't sell tequila. So because of all that, they're not selling a lot of those Sazerac products to get all those, the Pappies and all that stuff, guys. But get that out of your head, that you're not going to find that anywhere down there anyway. You want to check out these guys' store picks. Right now they have 5 store picks, and they've been so gracious to let me taste through them, and we're going to review them, all 5 of them here today. I'm going to put them in order of how I like them, and you can go down there and try them. I hope you do, so stay tuned. Hey, we're so glad you're here, but I wanted to come back real quick and insert this little clip because I forgot one of the most important parts of this episode. When you go to the Blind Pig, I really, really, really need you and appreciate you if you let them know Bourbon Battles sent you. That'll help us a lot moving forward with these guys. And I really want to move forward with these guys because they're doing some amazing things. Hey, see you in the episode. So here they are. Here's the 5 store picks you can choose from right now. They have many, many more coming. And as those store picks come in, I'm going to make a really concerted effort to get those bottles, get them for review, and get them out there so you can see what's going on. Again, Kentucky Bourbon Trail, this is a must stop. You're going to drive right by it as you go to all these amazing distilleries. You know, you come off 65 there and head west. I guess that'd be east down through Bardstown. Everything is right downtown there. David, the guy that owns the place, and his staff are amazing. He's been fantastic to communicate with through this process. It's a little hard for me to get down there, but man, I cannot wait to bring you a video live or from there in general, right? So this is the offering they have right now. Some of this stuff's new to me, and some of this stuff's been around for a long time, right? Elijah Craig. I got a bunch of these. So let's see how they all stack up. I'm going to compare the Elijah Craig to another Elijah Craig that I really like. And I'm going to compare the RD1 to another whiskey. So we're going to go through these one at a time. First, I'm going to tell you what they've got. You can't try these before you buy them. Keep that in mind. You want to do that, right? Taste them. Make sure they're to your palate, right? Just because I like something doesn't mean it's the greatest thing in the world, right? I know the prices on most of these, and they're in line. So here we go. Let's just talk about what we have, then we'll go through each bottle individually. I'm probably going to butcher the name of this. It's the Lincoln Pinch bourbon. I've never had this before till getting this from down there. This one is called the Sweet Pig Special Reserve. So we're going to check that one out. This one I have had, but not in a store pick. It's a Moonlight Mayhem from Filmland Spirits. It's a company out of California, but it is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. This one is their personal pick. I've had this. It's not a pick. I like this stuff. Filmland Spirits sent it to me, so we'll see how that stacks up. We're going to compare it to the shelf product on this one. This one's interesting to me. It's the Smoke Wagon. This is a Nevada whiskey. This is their straight bourbon whiskey. It's something that I've never really been a big fan of. Some of their stuff is okay. The uncut, unfiltered has not been the greatest thing for me. I'm not saying it's bad, so let's see how the Blind Pigs version stacks up. We'll compare it against some of the other stuff I have. Of course, the Elijah Craig. Gosh, you guys know about this, right? Private Barrel, Barrel Select. I believe these are usually better than the 3-time-a-year releases. I've got some that are just absolutely amazing. So next up, we have RD1. This one is very interesting, right? It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in French oak, and judging by the proof, I assume that's at barrel strength, which usually these are, right? You get more proof, you get more flavor, you get all that good stuff when it comes to store picks, right? And gosh, right there in the heart of Bardstown. Let's see what we think about it, guys. Here we go. Let's get into these one at a time. I did them in order of proof, right? Lowest to the smallest. Now, let's talk about the lowest, right? It's over 112 proof. So these are all pretty high proof. So that's the order we're going to start in. And I will attempt to put these in the order of my favorite to my least favorite of the 5, right? I will tell you, I'll preface that by I've had all of these and I like them all. So that doesn't make any of these bad. But if I could only buy one, that'll be number 1, right? And we'll go down from there. And each of these, but the first one I am going to compare to either a very similar product that's readily easy to get, like Maker's 46 cast strength in the case of the RD1, or another store pick or shelf product or something like that to make it a little fun, right? So the first one we have here, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, is Lincoln Pinch Bourbon. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey out of Franklin, Indiana. I almost said Franklin, Indiana. Franklin, Kentucky. It's special reserve, and they call this one the Sweet Pig. This is number 3 char in 53-gallon barrels, coming to you at 112.3 proof, and it is a 4-year-old whiskey. So, right, let's check this one out. I do not have anything to compare this to. I didn't know. I don't have the shelf product. I don't know really what to compare it to. So let's get into this. As I'm getting into this first, I want to remind you the Stave and Thief Society right there, also really close to the Bourbon Trail, if not on it, is a great program. You can do in-person classes, you can do online classes, all that stuff. The Executive Bourbon Steward course using discount code BBB15 for Bourbon Battles Blind 15 and get you 15% off that class, and it's worth it. Oh. So I always have a hard time with these tasting notes and nosing notes on things of this nature. My guess is it's a pot-stilled whiskey. I always say it's got that Willet funk, right? That is one of the most unique whiskeys I've ever had. I will say this. We don't talk about price on here. Everything's relative, right? If you're going down the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, the price of none of this is going to bother you. So what I will say about this is, it's like I said, it's one of the most unique things I've ever had. It's different. It's not going to be for everybody. But it's one of those things that, to me, that second taste, a lot of the fruit came through on the finish. That really improved my opinion on that quite a bit. That's my opinion's higher of it than last time I tried it. So because of the funkiness of it, and funky not isn't a funky taste, the uniqueness of that spirit, gosh, it's 4 years old. I can't wait to see what it is when it's 6 or 8 years old. My assumption is, and it's only an assumption, that distillery is a little bit newer, and that's where they're at. To the folks down there at Lincoln Pinch, keep doing what you're doing. That is a fantastic whiskey. Not everybody's going to love that, but you need to try that, because I think a lot of people would say that's their favorite on this table. I doubt I will, but we'll see. For what it costs, and like I said, we don't talk about price, but I know what it costs. It's an absolute buy for the uniqueness of it. That's something you can really share with people that have probably never had it, right? It's one of the things that I love about whiskey when I'm walking through a liquor store or going to a distillery, right? I want things on my shelf here that I have not had before, right? Unique things that you can come over and try that you've not had before. So that's a big deal to me. All right, the next one we have for you is a Moonlight Mayhem. So this is their pick. Of course, all these are picks at 115.10 proof. Moonlight Mayhem comes to us from Filmland Spirits. They're known for their packaging. What I'm seeing is this stuff's starting to get some really good reviews. It's starting to pop up all around the place in Kentucky. It's brilliant packaging. I assume the bottom of this bottle is made to look like a film reel. The way they do it is just really, really cool. I did a Whiskey Wednesday or Sunday sipping on this same bottle. That was not a store pick, right? This one right here, this is their shelf product. Let's just take a look at the proof, right? It's the Blind Pig is 115, and the shelf product is 115.10. And the shelf product goes out at 114, so there's not a whole lot of proof difference. So this is going to be interesting. I did pour another little sample of this so I can compare the two. And what that'll tell me is, right, it'll tell you, right, if you've had this and you liked it, you probably ought to try the Single Barrel Select, right? Let's check this one out. It's fantastic, right? I think the regular selection here probably received a grade of a B-ish. I'm trying to remember. That'd be my guess on that episode. So, hey, and just while we're going through things and talking about things, hey, I've got an announcement to make. You see me come to you from this room for the past several years now here at Bourbon Battles. We've done a lot of things different, changed a lot of things the way we do everything. But this is going to be one of the last episodes filmed here. There will be a few more. I'll probably try to get caught up, but here very soon, stay tuned. We will have a new studio. There'll be a temporary studio before the permanent studio. Really looking forward to that, right? The space is empty. Needs some remodeling that we're moving into, but it's going to be a really, really cool space. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really going to miss this. I've outgrown this, though, right? If you've ever been in this room, and a few of you have, right? This is a very, very small space for what it is. And if you go back to some of our first videos, there was one cabinet, one little bitty shelf back here that we started with some whiskey on it. Chad would bring whiskey over and just didn't have much. And now the room is engulfed about 360 degrees. Looks like that. Man, this is two of these. I don't know the price, but I can make some assumption. So this is one of those things, and I actually just saw a review of this, right? This is one of those things that people are going to think is a little bit gimmicky because of the packaging being so good, right? Everybody thinks when the packaging is that really, really good, and they've not heard of it, it's just this big gimmick thing, right? I mean, if I was going to start a whiskey brand today, I would concentrate on the bottle, right? Because we know what we know what a good bottle will do, right? This is some of the coolest packaging in all of whiskey right now, especially if you're a movie buff, which I am not personally a movie buff. This is really, really cool. So let's just compare it to the shelf expression. It's quite a bit different. It's quite a bit better. There's more flavor. The shelf expression is excellent. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of variance in that, right? So it doesn't come off. I mean, if I were to drink these side by side blind, I would never think they were the same thing. A little more ethanol on the standard shelf product. But I would say that the Blind Pig pick is better, but it's close, right? And I think, I mean, they make other whiskeys. They make a rye. They make all kinds of stuff. So you're going to want to check those out, guys. This is good stuff. Okay, David, you guys are making it really tough on me. The first two are definite buys for me. It's going to be hard to determine which one of those I like better. So on to get on here. The next one is the Smoke Wagon, right? Guys, I had a bad taste in my mouth from Smoke Wagon from the very beginning. I was given some of the uncut, unfiltered as a sample, and I really, really did not like it. I believe we reviewed it way back when, a long time ago. So this gives me some breath of hope, and spoiler alert, I really like this bottle, right? So this stuff right here is, of course, the Blind Pig store pick, and we're going to compare it to the shelf product of the uncut, unfiltered. I'm not 100% sure that's a fair comparison, but I don't know a whole lot about Smoke Wagon, and the proofs kind of line up, right? So this one is 56.79. So what is that? 113.6, 112.6, 113.6. There you go, math, right? You film enough of these episodes, and your math, the shit goes out the window real fast. So they call it something, the something pig, something, I don't know, I can't read the writing, but it is handwritten, so that's pretty cool, right? So I've got some really big hope for this bottle, right? Because so far everything's been so good from the Blind Pig here. The nose is fantastic, the candied caramels and all that. There's no ethanol, there's no burn on that. The barrel char really shows through in a good way. Sometimes that's not a good thing, but it is on this one. If you're a Smoke Wagon fan, I really would love your opinion, right, on how this stacks up against other store picks and all that kind of stuff. I believe Tony, one of our Patreon members, is a big Smoke Wagon fan. Tony, first off, you live really close to the Blind Pig, so you need to get you a bottle. If not, I'm more than happy to share some of this with you because I really want your opinion on this. So don't let me forget that, and you don't let me forget anything. So I got a lot of stuff headed your way. So, man, this stuff right here. This is the one bottle when I got this stuff from the Blind Pig that I was like, I don't know about that. If there's a lot of Smoke Wagon out here that tastes like this, I'm going to become a huge Smoke Wagon fan because this is a fantastic bottle. It is not a cheap bottle. It's getting close to $100. I actually kind of like that one too. Not near as much as this one. So this stuff right here can end up making me a big Smoke Wagon fan. You know, and it's in a lot of things, guys. I want you to take this in consideration. If you've tried something and you didn't like it, like I did not like Smoke Wagon. I don't think I was the only one who tasted it that day, right? You don't necessarily want to give up on it. That doesn't mean you run out and buy another bottle of something, right? But don't give up on it, right? Everybody makes some things. You know, you can get bad bottles, you can get bad batches, you can get bad releases. Not even bad, right? Not to your, they just don't suit your palate. So don't give up on things. When you start hearing reviews, you know, over and over like I do on the Smoke Wagon, this stuff is amazing. Give it another shot, guys. I'm so glad I did here. That is, look, all you whiskey wise asses out there, just put your fingers in your ears here. That is smooth, right? I know you're not supposed to say smooth. Well, piss off. I love that adjective for bourbon. It is infinitely smoother than the shelf expression, the uncut, unfiltered, and it is infinitely better. It's worth a lot more money, in my opinion. It tastes better. It's easier to drink. It's got more flavor. It's an amazing whiskey. 3 out of 3 so far that are definite buys, right? I know you're going to drive down to the Blind Pig and drop a bunch of money and you're going to blame me for it. Well, I'm sorry. I just can't help myself sometimes. So this one is going to be a really, really tricky thing. And David and everybody at the Blind Pig, I'm going to put you up against some really, really stiff competition here. So this is their Elijah Craig Private Barrel, right? It's called the Papa Pig's Juice. It comes to us at 123.2 proof. It's 8 years old. Guys, you already know what to expect from this, right? This stuff is amazing, amazing whiskey. Now, I want to preface that. I'm going to compare it to another whiskey here in just a second. Wow, there's no burn on that, right? Sorry, I had to interrupt myself. That is amazing. So I own at least 2 or 3 Elijah Craig private barrels that I think are really special. One of them, my absolute favorite one I've ever had, is from the Legacy Pub in Lafayette, Indiana. That thing got national attention. It's a really, really high proof. It was selling in the secondary market. I've seen it for $500, $600, $700, right? So I didn't compare it to that one because I didn't think that was fair, because I feel like that's an oddity, and I don't think it's quite as good as all the attention it gets. It's amazing, don't get me wrong, but I am comparing it to this one. This is out of a liquor store in Maryland, 67.2. Yeah, so it's quite a bit higher proof than this one. And look, if you're one of these guys that says, "Oh, well, that's got 6 more proof points, 10 more proof points, whatever it is, it's better." No, I'm not a whiskey cowboy. The higher the proof doesn't mean the better the whiskey. There's a lot of 80 and 90 proof whiskey that I love more than 130 proof whiskey, right? Generally speaking, I do gravitate to the higher proofs, but this is a higher proof whiskey. All these are higher proof whiskeys. That flavor really shines through. So that little bit extra doesn't worry me. So anyway, this is out of Maryland, and this is probably my second favorite Elijah Craig barrel pick that I've got, and I own a bunch of them. So you're up against some stiff competition, Blind Pig. So this is going to be, look, I haven't had any of this in a very long time. My friend Mark down in Florida was able to acquire that for me, and it is just an absolutely amazing bottle, which brings up a whole thing, right? So I give Mark whiskey samples. He's a friend of mine in Florida. We see each other on a fairly regular basis, right? And I keep giving him, several times a year, I give him all these sample bottles, right, to try different things, and I'm sure he'll get to try all 5 of these. So we went to dinner one day down in Florida, and he has a bottle of whiskey for me, and he's basically in a roundabout way says, "Do you have any idea how hard it is to buy a bottle of whiskey for you?" And I think about that a lot, right? Because if you're watching this video, you probably collect whiskey, and your wives and your friends and everything may land here, right? And the thing I always say is store picks. Get a store pick from somewhere unique that I don't have, and like I literally have probably 10 store picks, right, from Elijah Craig. Um, and Mark gave me this. And this is one of my most coveted bottles of whiskey I own because it is so stinking good. And it was a gift, right? You don't have to be 100% accurate on that, right? So store picks make amazing gifts. So one last try with the Blind Pig version. Man, it is so good. And now, quite possibly my favorite one that Mark acquired for me in Maryland. I believe it's from Maryland. If I'm wrong, Mark, please correct me. This thing doesn't even, that it's not even like you're smelling alcohol. It's different, right? It's got that Kentucky hug that I like a lot of times, that burn, and it does have more proof on it. If I were to draw them blind, I could probably go back and forth on any given day, but today I would probably go with the Blind Pig expression on that, and it's absolutely amazing. They're both absolutely amazing. They're well worth their weight in salt. Um, this particular bottle doesn't have a price tag on it, but I'm sure I can, judging by everything else, it's right there where it's supposed to be, right? Knowing what I know, that I probably have 1 or 2 Elijah Craig barrel proofs that I like equally as much. These things are 2 oddities, right? But out of the 10, of all the Elijah Craig barrel proof I have, right, which is all the different yearly releases and all the store picks. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19 of these things. This ranks right up there near the top. It's probably either number 2 or number 3, probably number 3 of all of them. That's very high accolades, right? This is something that you need on your shelf if you pass through Bardstown, Kentucky. That is an amazing, amazing pour. And as I'm going to need just a little more nip of it to be able to pick a winner here in the end. Kudos, David. Kudos to you and your team for picking such an amazing barrel. Gosh, I cannot wait to see what you guys do next. So on to the next one. So if you know me very well, right, people ask me all the time, if you take a flask of whiskey somewhere. Actually, yesterday, at the time of this filming, I went to a wedding. Lonnie's been on the program. I actually took some Elijah Craig barrel proof. It wasn't this one. To the wedding, and Lonnie and I shared that. But if I take a bottle of whiskey somewhere for me, like on vacation or something to that effect, right? I was just in Florida a few weeks ago, and I pop into the liquor store to buy a bottle of whiskey to have for the week, right? and I just go to the Florida ABC store on the way home from the airport, and I grab a bottle, right? So they happen to have a Maker's Mark store pick, so that's what I grabbed. But I would normally grab a Maker's Mark 46 cask strength, right? That is one of my favorite whiskeys in the world. And as you can see, we are under code red currently in the Bourbon Battle studio and nearly out of 46 cask strength. If I go to somebody's house for an event and I don't know who is going to be there and how much they like whiskey, I usually just take a regular 46. I have a huge affinity to this stuff. I love this stuff. And I'm going to go out on a limb so you can buy this stuff at the Blind Pig. I could be wrong. If I am, my bad. So this 46 cask strength is 110.3 proof. So it doesn't quite stack up to the RD1 selected by Blind Pig. This is the highest proof whiskey we're going to taste today. It comes to 123.58 proof. That is, and it is French oak stave finished. So if I'm not mistaken, the way they do this, right, is not a traditional methodology of the same way that Maker's Mark does it. Maker's Mark throws 10 French oak staves in the barrel. Awesome, cool, whatever. But actually, I learned this on a Bruzel episode. Bruzel was just at the Blind Pig. So, by the way, Bruzel, if you happen to see this, come down to Indiana and do some bourbon hunting with me. Love to do that. Love to work with you. Bruzel is probably my favorite character on all of Whiskey Tube, if you will. And I'm sure he's your second favorite character, and I can guess who your first is. So this is only 4-year-old stuff, but the way they do it, it's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and they put this, they call it this stave necklace, right? And I encourage you to watch that Bruzel episode and go over to the Blind Pig portion of that, where the Blind Pig representative explains this, right? This is what's so important about the Blind Pig. These people at the Blind Pig can talk whiskey, right? I go to these local liquor stores and the giant one that everybody knows about, right? They want to push you to their specific spirits only that they make more money on. These guys have some firsthand knowledge, right? These guys are, and gals, right, know what they're talking about, and that is so paramount. So actually, thanks a lot, everybody down at the Blind Pig, because of that Bruzel episode. I'm now on the hunt for some Evan Williams that was in that episode, right? So they used this necklace, right? And I'm going to do a horrible job explaining it. And I'm not going to put Bruzel's video snip in here, but go watch that. The link's in the description. And they can age it extremely fast, right? So RD1 gained their popularity from Amburano finish, and I feel like the people on YouTube love to hate on Amburano. I've never met anybody that didn't like Amburano that wasn't a YouTube creator, and I actually love it. And I'm sure that's like Bruzel doesn't like it, and I really like him, so I'm sure he really doesn't like it. But it's very good, and it's very good for whiskey beginners. But anyway, this is an Amburano finish. This is French Oak's finish with that French oak necklace, right? And that sounds cooler too. The proof is what's really impressed me. Just those little 10 proof points of the Maker's Mark 46, right? If this is better than Maker's 46 in my mind, get out of town. All right, this is one of the best whiskeys ever made, if that's the case. Let's just pause for a second to let this sink in, the amazingness of this bottle, right? Important to understand, Bruzel didn't pick this up. I don't even think he tasted it. He does not like French oak's finished whiskey. And if you don't like French oak whiskey, French oak finished whiskey, you're probably not going to like it any more than he would. But I love this stuff. And this is a special bottle. This is the kind of bottle, to me, that goes up in a special place. And I'm looking at the price tag now, and it's perfectly fine. This is the kind of bottle, if you're out chasing, it's so hard to compare it to anything, right? Because it is a finished whiskey. It's finished in those French oak staves. You put this in a decanter. You line up 5 decanters with birthday bourbon and Pappy Van Winkle and these type of things. A lot of people are going to say this is the best whiskey. Let that sink in. Yes, I think this is probably better than Van Winkle. Is it better than Maker's 46? Cast strength, man, that stuff is so good. That extra little proof. In fact, I'm going to pause the video and grab something here. So I've been talking about this a lot lately, right? If you haven't invested in one of these eyedropper bottles on Amazon, you need to, right? So every once in a while, a whiskey comes around that I think needs a drop of water, or when I try it, I add a drop of water. This is almost to the point to where when I go out to these bourbon bars and do these things, right, I need to probably have one of these in my truck, right? And I'm a whiskey nerd, you know that, right? So I use Kentucky limestone water in this. I buy it, right? It's not expensive. I think this is one of those whiskeys that's going to do better with a drop of water. Now, it's not going to, this is not to mimic an ice cube or any of that stuff. This is to change the makeup. I was right. Is it better than Maker's 46? Well, here's what I'll tell you. It's different. It's better with a drop of water. It's amazing whiskey. Like, I dare you to go buy a bottle of this whiskey and put it in a blind battle against somebody's favorite whiskey, right? And when we do blind battles here at Bourbon Battles, we try to match similar things, right? Like foolproof stuff, weeded. We try to match. That's the other thing, right? This is not weeded. This is just French oak stave. So that's the difference. That is absolutely the difference. That just dawned on me. But we try to match things that are similar, right? Finished rye, similarly finished rye, and all these things, right? But I dare you to get this and go buy some of these little sample bottles that look a lot like these, and have your friends try this. And I think you'll be floored at how well this performs. So I'm going to rank these from my 1 through 5, right? And we're going to line them up 1 through 5 across the bar here as you come back. I'm going to pause the video here in a second to try a few things, taste through a few things, mess with this water a little bit. I think the only one I want to really deal with the water is I want to try it in the Lincoln Pinch. I have to read it to say it. And I actually want to try it in the Moonlight Mayhem as well. I'm going to get rid of the control samples, and when I come back, they're going to be in order. Okay, I've gone through them all now, and I'm prepared to rank them 1 through 5. Kinda. So I actually had to go back in that pause there, which was 30 or 40 minutes ago when I stopped that video, and I had to do a couple independent blind battles. One specifically that really, the results absolutely shocked me. So I know you're dying to get to it. So in 5th place, 1 through 5, I'm not going to say last place because every single one of these bottles is an absolute buy. If you walk blindly into the blind pig with X amount of dollars in your pocket and you take any of these bottles, you're not going to be mad at me. You're not going to come back here and say, Joe, you're a dipshit. Why did you tell me to do that? That's not going to happen. You're going to be happy with any of these. So in 5th place, we have this. It's a tie. 4th and 5th place is an absolute tie. I'm going to explain that to you. So I know I said they'd be up here, but for dramatic effect, I'm going to come down here. It's the Moonlight Mayhem and the Lincoln Pitch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So here's why these things tied, right? Because they're both very good. If I was just going to have one of these to keep around and drink because it tasted good, the Moonlight Mayhem would have edged this out. But because of the uniqueness that you probably haven't tried either one of these, but the uniqueness of this bottle, the uniqueness of the flavors in this bottle, they're a tie. I don't know that I could pick one over the other. And by the way, if you're wondering what's in here, it's all the spoils of everything kind of all blended together of all 5 of these bottles and the controls, right? So if you walk into the Blind Pig in Bardstown Bourbon downtown on your way to lunch and you're walking around as a break for the Bourbon Trail and you wander into this store and you buy these 2 bottles and you've never tried them before, and granted, I really encourage you to try them while you're there. You take them home and you pop the tops on them and say, hey, Joe said they're good. You're not going to be mad at me. This one I very much encourage you to try before you buy because it is extremely unique and it's not for everybody. I also promise you that however many barrels or however many bottles are in that barrel that they bought, 250-ish, they're not going to have a hard time selling this. This is excellent. Let me explain something to you about the Blind Pig. People come from all the corners of the world there. They have people from all over the world show up there to buy whiskey. So they're not going to have a hard time selling this. So their time is of the essence, right? This stuff's not going to be around forever. But these, especially these two, right? These are very unique. The Elijah Craig, by the time this thing airs, it's probably already gone. The Smoke Wagon, it might already be gone. Who knows, right? So I encourage you to not dilly-dally around. But the spirit of this whole thing is to understand these people at the Blind Pig are phenomenal palates. You can trust that palate, right? So tie for fourth place, both these bottles. Buy them. These are fantastic. I encourage it. See if this is any good. It's been kind of marinating there around for close to an hour now. Yeah, I'd probably buy that. So in third place, this was tough. This came down to actually the fourth and fifth place, the tie, right? The blind battle. And I picked blindly, I picked the Filmland Spirits, right? But the coolness and the uniqueness of the other, that's why they tied. So in third place, and this came down to an absolute blind battle between 2 and 3. True blind battle, right? You know, we always talk about blind battles, right? I don't give a rat's ass what's on the label. I just like good whiskey. So I don't care if somebody beats somebody, right? So in all three of these, right? There was blind battles going on. In third place, this is going to shock you. The Elijah Craig, right? This stuff is fantastic. 8-year-old high proof bourbon coming out of Heaven Hill, right down the street from the Blind Pig in Bardstown, Kentucky. Fantastic whiskey. If you have a propensity to where you love the Elijah Craig 3-time-a-year releases, and you're out looking for this stuff, and you drive to Heaven Hill, and oh my God, I got a A124, C923, whatever. That's great. And you don't stop at the Blind Pig to pick one of these up. I think you've done yourself an injustice, because this is fantastic whiskey. This is fantastic whiskey, and the fact that it finished third place ought to tell you something. That this place is a place you need to go to. So what's in second place? Second place, this shocked me. I thought this would have finished dead last. In fact, the thing that I was the most anxious to try, I'm not going to lie, is this stuff right here, because I'm a whiskey nerd, and this stuff, I could have easily chosen it number one, right, for the uniqueness. But in second place, the Smoke Wagon. I like Smoke Wagon now. What can I say? So, of course, that means in first place is the RD1 French Oak finish. French Oak stay finish, that necklace. This is one of those things where if you come over to my house and you want to sample it, you get a tablespoon, because this has to last forever. In fact, I'm probably going to go down there and with my own money buy a backup bottle of this. This stuff is fantastic, and probably buy a backup bottle of that too. So, David, thank you very much to you and your crew. This has been an extremely fun video to make. All 5 of these expressions, all 5 of these will very, very soon, and maybe before this goes out, all 5 of these will all make it onto a Whiskey Wednesday or a Sunday Sipping or something to that effect. There's no rye here, so we're not talking about any Friday rye days. So, hey, let me know in the comments. What do you think about the Blind Pig down there? Please tell them Bourbon Battles sent you. That's very imperative, right? They need to know that. So, hey, check these guys out. Let them know we sent you. Check us out. Check out all of our social media. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Let me know in the comments if you have a liquor store near you that you think might be interested in being featured on an episode like this. Hey, in the meantime, I want to remind you, drinking bourbon is supposed to be fun. Do it with your friends. When you can, do it blind. But most importantly, don't drink and drive. And like my dad always said, it's better to be full of whiskey than full of shit. Cheers.
If you drink, don't drive, do the watermelon crawl.